Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Hootie London. This is for entertainment purpose only. This is the case of the Idaho quadruple murders. How can you taint something that is already tainted? This case was already tainted from the beginning. If you'll remember, in the beginning of this case, Chief Fry, the prosecutor William Thompson, and the Idaho chief all asked people to call them and give them information of anything they know of Brian Christopher Kohlberger. So I don't understand why is bothering the prosecutor that the survey has been taken. If he doesn't like certain questions of the survey, I personally believe that the survey was already asked the questions that everyone seemed to know about. That was nothing new. It's been 14 months since the quadruple murders happened, and still this case is on gag order.
A clear picture over time, and we stand assured that the work is not done. But be assured the work is not done. This has just started. Since November, we have remained laser focused on pursuing every lead in our pursuit of justice for the victims and their families. I recognize the frustration with the lack of information that's been released. However, providing any details in this criminal investigation might have tainted the upcoming criminal prosecution or alerted the suspect of our progress. We will continue to provide as much information as we can as the process moves forward. Today, I want to specifically thank our dedicated Moscow Police Department detectives, patrol officers, the Idaho State detectives, the Idaho State troopers, and their crime lab technicians and scientists, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation for the resources and personnel to conduct this massive investigation.
Let's keep in mind that the FBI joined the case 5 days after the quadruple murders. That's important. So when the chief is thanking the FBI for their researches, resources, and all their help, they weren't there in the first 5 days. They were not invited. Moscow, Idaho Police Department believed that they had everything under control. Others, why else wouldn't you call the FBI to join into such a high-profile case that has happened in a college town, and every student was at unease, I would imagine.
And you are the product of those 19,000 tips that we received, which is an impressive number.
The chief wanted to thank his community for the 19,000 tips that they called in and gave. Wonder how much of the 19,000 tips had Brian Christopher Kohlberger's name all over it. This case was tainted from the start. We saw how the forensics team was collecting forensic. They didn't even have their forensic gears on until 2-3 days later, when they found out that the social media was speculating about how concerning it was that the forensic team did not have on gloves, footwear, and everything so that they could collect the evidence properly without tainting them. Everything was tainted in this case. While they blame it on the expert who did the survey. So you all heard the chief clearly say that he wanted to thank his community for the 19,000 tips they sent in. I'm sure it was the 19,000 tips that they sent in that led the chief and his team into the direction of Brian Christopher Kohlberger. Let's not forget they had Brian Christopher Kohlberger's telephone number, his phone cell number. They had DNA of Mr. Brian Kohlberger when he applied for a job in the forensics department in Idaho. I wouldn't be surprised if the fraternities and the sororities called in and tainted who they were searching for. Brian Christopher Kohlberger ain't going to receive a bias. It's going to be biased. He's not going to receive a fair trial. This is a small community, let's not forget.
I appreciate that. And you are the product of those 19,000 tips that we received, which is an impressive number. I would like to invite Bill Thompson, the county prosecutor, up at this time.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Bill Thompson. I'm the Latah County prosecutor. And it's sad to be here, but happy to be here at the same time. As Chief Fry indicated, a criminal complaint was filed yesterday here in Latah County, charging the defendant, Mr. Kohlberger, with 4 counts of first-degree murder, in addition to felony burglary, which involves entering the residence with the intent to commit the crime of murder. Mr. Kohlberger, and let me preface, there's a pending case now in court, and I and my office and the investigators have to live with the restrictions that our Supreme Court places on pretrial publicity. That said, I promise you we will share with you, through the court process or otherwise, whatever we are allowed to. I just appreciate your patience on that. The factual basis for the charges are summarized in what's called a probable cause affidavit that is on file with the court. According to the rules of the Idaho Supreme Court, that is sealed until Mr. Kohlberger is physically back in Latah County and has been served with the Idaho arrest warrant. At that time, we expect that that affidavit will be available to you so you can share the true facts with all of your readers and your watchers and your listeners and all the people who are interested and really need to know what's going on. So please have patience with us on that. We hope to get that to you as soon as we can. As far as Mr. Kohlberger, I can share with you that he is a graduate student at Washington State University and has an apartment residence over in Pullman. He has had an initial appearance in front of a judge in Pennsylvania. He is being held without bond, and the warrant from our magistrate judge here also provides for no bond. We understand that he's scheduled to be back in court in Pennsylvania next Tuesday afternoon, and that a public defender has been appointed for him there. The process at this point is, since he was arrested in another state, he has the opportunity to either waive extradition and return voluntarily to the state of Idaho. If he does not waive extradition, then we will initiate extradition proceedings through our governor's office. If we do that, it can take a while for him to get here. So again, I'm asking for your patience and understand that's just the way the system works. Once he gets here, he'll have an initial appearance with our magistrate. They'll deal with issues such as making sure competent counsel is representing him, and the case will be scheduled for further hearings. Your primary source of factual information is going to be the court record, because that's what the Supreme Court says we need to refer you to. So please pay attention to what's going on in court and have people there to watch and hear what's being said. As an attorney, myself and my office, we are limited on what we are allowed by the courts to say outside of the courtroom. So please just work with us. Finally, as the chief indicated, this is not the end of this investigation. In fact, this is a new beginning. You all now know the name of the person who has been charged with these offenses. Please get that information out there. Please ask the public, anyone who knows about this individual, to come forward. Call the tip line. Report anything you know about him to help the investigators and eventually our office and the court system understand fully everything there is to know about not only the individual, but what happened and why.
So Prosecutor William Thompson said from the very beginning that he encourages everyone to call in and tell them what information they have of Brian Christopher Koberger. Now, how many do you think would have called with fake information if they were involved?
Please get that information out there. Please ask the public, anyone who knows about this individual, to come forward. Call the tip line. Report anything you know about him to help the investigators and eventually our office and the court system understand fully everything there is to know about not only the individual, but what happened and why.
My name is Kendrick Wills. I serve as the director of the Idaho State Police and certainly want to express our appreciation for your attendance here today. These tragic murders took 4 young, vibrant lives from our community. Nothing we do can bring them back. The only thing that we can do in law enforcement to honor their memories that we know of is to bring this to a successful conclusion. This has been a very difficult time for the families, the university, the community, and the state of Idaho. However, it is also proven that communities come together in tough times. Certainly appreciate the support of the local community and our national audience that has been following us as our investigators have worked through this case. I'm thankful also to you, the media partners, who have helped keep this case in the forefront that generates the tips and we hope will continue to generate information that will help us to a conclusion of this proceeding. I'd like to express our appreciation on behalf of the Idaho State Police to Chief Fry, his leadership, and the entire Moscow Police Department for the way that they handled this from the very beginning. He directed the right people to the right positions that led us to this conclusion today. I've had the utmost confidence in this investigation and in Chief Fry as well as in Mr. Bill Thompson and the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, who've been a great partner throughout this. Nothing has deterred the commitment of the investigators who've worked on this case, regardless of the organization they represent. It's been very trying and very difficult, as you know, that it has been on those investigators as they do the tedious work that they're so good at doing.
So what is the chief actually thanking Chief Fry and the prosecutor for? The forensic team did not have on the forensic kit in the beginning. The FBI was called in 5 days later. The misinformation that we were searching for 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra, but Mr. BK, Brian Christopher Koberger, drives a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra. So this doesn't make sense. Are we thanking the coroner too? The coroner gave out information too prematurely, without waiting to discuss with their team, and then they wonder why we in social media are speculating. This case has had false information from the beginning. Why are they so upset of a survey being conducted? Brian Christopher Koberger is entitled to a fair trial. And if he's guilty, then he deserves what is coming to him. But imagine if he's not guilty. I can see a lot of biased things in this case from the beginning. Let's not forget Brian Christopher Koberger is from Pennsylvania. He's not from Idaho at all, or from Pullman. I've showed you all so many times what Saeed was watching in the Banfield. I showed you the grub truck. If I did not see those things, I may have thought that Brian Christopher Koberger did this crime by himself. But there's so many things that doesn't point out to Brian Christopher Koberger from the beginning. There was no blood evidence found in his car. The knife sheet is a touch DNA. Let's not forget multiple people were at the crime scene before 911 was called. I've mentioned this plenty of times. The Airmail article in the beginning of this case said that there were 2 people who went upstairs and found Kaylee and Maddie. How do we know that they did not plant the night shift? The police were not called for 8 hours. How do we know that the surviving roommates had nothing to do with this? The reason I ask is because the police themselves said, Chief Fry said, that I did not say the surviving roommates are witness. I said they were there. 8 weeks later, they became witnesses. How's that possible? Wasn't DM's sleeping downstairs? 8 weeks later, we find out that DM was sleeping upstairs and she saw a man with a mask and bushy eyebrows. She didn't even mention the eyes or the eyes color. That is the first thing you would have seen. She saw the eyebrows before the eyes. I personally believe they put this case on a gag order on purpose, because they don't have much to prove that it's Brian Christopher Koberger who did it. I've said that from the beginning. What are they actually hiding from us? That it was the fraternity boys that were involved, allegedly? Or that the surviving roommates' story doesn't make sense? What are they hiding? Because I don't find anything wrong with the survey questions. They should grant Mr. Koberger and his defense attorney to move the trial immediately. I don't understand why William Thompson, the prosecutor, wants it to be in Idaho, Moscow. Is it so that they can control the narratives, allegedly? But I'm really happy that everything is coming to light, because something is hidden. They're hiding something. I don't know who's being protected. Is it the surviving roommates, or is it the fraternities or the sororities? Something smells rotten in the state of Denmark, like William Shakespeare said, and that's my personal opinion only. Let me know what you'll think in the comment channel, please. All we want is the correct justice for these 4 victims, and Brian Christopher Koberger is entitled to a fair trial. Whether he did the crimes or not, everything needs to come to the light. Amen to that.